Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and happy afternoon. Happy Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. Hope everyone had a happy Memorial Day weekend. And certainly a shout out to all of our veterans, all of our servicemen and women, thinking about them today, thinking about them yesterday, and thinking about them always. So thank you for your service, everybody. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, VoiceEd Radio Canada, wherever you're taking in your podcast. Thanks for tuning in. And I am happy to talk to Dr. Jess Quinter. Jess is the principal at Park Forest Elementary in State College, Penn State, baby. And she's the principal there at Park Forest Elementary. She's also a leader in NAESP. She was on the board with Pennsylvania Principals Association at the state level, and now she's at the national level with the Elementary Schools Association as a Zone 2 director. So congratulations to you, Jess. We'll talk all things leadership with Jess and her journey in just a moment. First, a word from our sponsor, IXL. This time of the year, teachers, if you've been using IXL, you know how valuable it is. Here they are.
I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast.
All right, friends, thanks for tuning in. If you are watching live, jump in the chat, say hello. Maybe you're here in Pennsylvania. Maybe you are out on the Oregon coast. A lot of our friends are there. So please jump in and say hello and let us know your role and where you're watching from today. The opening segment, it is interviewing time. People are hiring. It's a scramble now to try to fill those vacancies and get people in the right seats. And are we asking the right questions? I can't wait to ask Dr. Quinter this. What are some of her go-to questions? But I got this from the great Todd Whitaker about questions, right? We call for references, and what do we say? Oh, hey, can you tell me about so-and-so? And they're great, and they're this, and they're that. And Todd Whitaker shared this with me, and man, I loved it, and I started using it, and it's a winner. So you ask the reference, if you're calling about a reference check, and you say, hey, is so-and-so, where are they in your top 100, right? Where are they? And if they say, well, they're 25, you're not hiring them. And you can tell a lot even when they answer. If they go, they're number one without a hesitation, some information right there. So the first question is, where are they? If you had 100 employees, where are they ranked in those? Are they in the top 10? So let's say they say, well, they're definitely in the top 10 there, 8 or 9. Your follow-up question is, why aren't they 1 or 2? Why aren't they 1 or 2? And you could learn a lot about the candidate when you ask those questions. So I thank Todd Whitaker for that. It helped me hire, and you learn some different things about the person without putting the reference on the spot there. Hello, Karen Juarez from Giant Veribest, Texas. Thanks for tuning in, Karen. Appreciate you and your colleagues there. Let's bring Jess into the show, and we're going to ask her some of her interviewing secrets. Dr. Quinter, welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. This is Jess Quinter, everybody, principal, Park Forest Elementary, State College. Jess, have you done some interviews yet? Where are you in the interviewing process?
We have. So we, in our district, we start with a screening interview. And so we've started some of those. And then as we know what positions will be available and what moves are happening and all of that, we'll gear up here pretty shortly. We finish school next week. So after that point hits, we'll really jump into some of those vacancies and some of the interviewing process that will happen.
What are some go-to questions for you, Jess, whether it's with that candidate or as I shared, like with that reference checks? What's something that you do to be able to really get to the truth of the person?
Sure. So I really like whenever I interview someone, just really kind of intentionally watching how they answer and respond to questions. So like, did they take a minute to think about a response? Are they really reflective and demonstrating that they like want to learn more, want to be part of our team? I think one question that tells us a lot is we'll often ask a candidate, tell me about a lesson or something that's happened in your life that didn't go the way that you thought it would, and what would you do about it now, or what did you do about it? And almost everyone can tell a story of a lesson that they started that somehow went awry and what they did along the way, or an experience that they had maybe even outside of school where things didn't happen that way. And it just really kind of digs into who that person is truly at their core. It tells a lot about their character and about, right, like that resilience. Like, are you flexible? Can you think? Can you persevere? So that's a question that we really like to ask. Another one that I really have started asking recently, just given the world of education, right? It's like a super rewarding job and a super amazing job that we get to do every day. And it's also really hard. So one question that I tend to ask candidates as well is like, how do you take care of yourself so that you can be at your best to help take care of kids whenever you're here? And that also has been pretty insightful. I think that, kind of to your point, whenever we're thinking like, where does this candidate rank in your experience? Are they a top 10? Are they a top 1? What does that look like? And then what are those pieces that are kind of like the intangibles? Like what are those pieces of their character? I want to know that you love kids. I want to know that you're going to put a whole lot of work into doing your job because you're dedicated to kids and helping them improve and progress. And it's not about us, it's about them every single day. And so I really like to kind of dig into some of those pieces to try to really get it at the core of who the person is. There are things we can teach. I can, I can help you learn teaching strategies. I can help you learn how to use a certain program. But some of those, just like who you are as a person pieces, I think are the most important to try to really kind of tease out whenever we're going through the interview process.
Yeah, great answer there. Good luck with your interviewing and certainly trying to get the best people into all of our districts, right? And there's recruitment, there's speed, there's a lot that goes into it. So good luck with that. But Jess, you mentioned that you wrap up next week. Give me one or two things that you as the principal, very intentional about wrapping up your school year. And part two, what does that reflection look like? On the Monday after school ends, are you debriefing and breaking down? Do you give a couple days to percolate? How do you wrap up the year and then start that reflection?
Sure. So I think at this point in the year, right, there's just so much happening. We were just talking beforehand. I said there's a kindergarten program coming up. There's a 5th grade party coming up. There are all of these special events that are kind of happening at school. And as a building leader, it's really important for me to be present and participating in all of those. And so May and June are really busy, both during the school day and after school, with concerts and track meets and all of those sorts of things too. And so that also kind of provides that time to kind of take pride in the work that we've done, right? Like, look at where these kindergartners have come, that now they're able to stand on the risers and perform this show for their parents. Look at where those 4th and 5th graders have come, where they picked up an instrument and now they can play it in a concert. And so that part for me is just really, really special, and a really special time of reflection for sure. I also try to be really intentional about making those connections before the end of the school year. So one of the activities that we do with staff here is kind of a reflection form that I ask them to make a copy of for their team, their department, whatever that might look like. And we do a high-low buffalo, like what are some highs from the year? What are some challenges from the year? What are some things that are unexpected or suggestions that you have moving forward? And so that really kind of allows us to dig into what are some things that are working, what are some things that maybe we can change up a little bit, what are some pieces maybe that we didn't think of before, and we can use that to kind of plan for the upcoming year too. So we do that part, and then I think for me personally, it takes a couple days, right, to like come down off the year and until we get everything wrapped up and what that looks like, and then just really kind of digging into that reflection of what feedback have I received from other people. I'm a note taker. I go back through all of my notes. It's not uncommon for me after I send a document out and I'm getting ready to update it for the next year that I'll put, in bold font highlighted at the top, next year add this. So I'm able to kind of keep those things in mind as the year goes on too. But it really does take, right? It takes a couple days to kind of like wrap your mind around, okay, now it's summer and I'm reflecting on last year, planning again for next year. One of the benefits for me, I think, has been, this is my 5th year in this building and in this district, and we also have had a pretty consistent staff during that span of time as well. And so just really being able to know the people with whom you're working, the systems, and what has changed over that period of time as well, I think has been an advantage for sure as I'm reflecting and planning from year to year.
Yeah. Jess, do you go chronologically? Do you go back to last July and or do you just pick out, this board meeting, this review? Do you just sprinkle it, or do you go chronologically through the year and take those reflection points?
A little bit of both. So I have kind of a document that I keep from year to year that I have, sort of what are the big things that will happen month to month that I know I'll need to think about coming up. I also kind of have it separated into, right, like scheduling pieces or staffing pieces or thinking about what faculty meetings might look like for the upcoming year. And so I guess I kind of do a combination of both of those things. I think the pieces that are kind of like the more mundane, just like updating, thinking about what things look like for next year, I tend to do those kind of chronologically. But when I'm really backing up and thinking about systems, pieces that we put into place, where those kind of strategic improvements can happen, that's more kind of like by topic or system.
Yeah. Jess, you mentioned your interview question about wellness, right? Hey, what are you doing to take care of yourself? So I'll jump on that for you. What are you going to do this first week off of school this summer, where you do have a little breathing room now for you to continue to be that great leader that your district needs?
Sure. I think one of the best ways for me personally to kind of do that, to practice self-care, is really to detach digitally. So things like, I'm not going to be checking my email all evening, every evening anymore. I'm not going to have to get up in the morning and the first thing that I do is make sure that we have enough guest teachers and coverage in everywhere. So some of that kind of naturally happens just because, right, like the building kind of shuts down during the summer in a lot of ways. And so you're able to sort of do that. But I really try to be more intentional about kind of putting those boundaries and parameters on what my work day looks like, making sure that, right, I'm actually taking the vacation time that I have and spending it with, right, like family, spending time outside. I love to be outside in the summer. I love to do things, whether it's like going to live music, taking a hike in the woods, going camping, whatever all of that might look like. So it just really, I think, like being intentional about that kind of time and taking advantage of the opportunity to really catch up with people that maybe I haven't had the chance to see as much during the school year.
Yeah. If you're watching Friends Live, jump in and say hello to Jess. She's right in the middle of Pennsylvania. It's a huge state, and State College literally right in the middle, and it's a giant little city. Would you say that? Would you
It is. It is. Yep.
Giant little city with a giant football stadium right in the middle there. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Jess, summer also is conference time and professional development time. And before I ask you the question, one of the things I do in the summer is I speak a lot, and I would love to have the opportunity to share with our guests and people watching that. So we'll be right back to you.
Are you
Jess.
looking for a speaker for your next event? What is it? Opening day of school? A summer leadership event? Professional development for next year? A business meeting? Andrew Murata is ready to be your speaker. For the past 7 years, Andrew has been speaking to schools, businesses, and civic organizations, bringing energy, enthusiasm, and real connection to every audience. Connect with Andrew to learn more. He would be honored and excited to support your team with spirit, motivation, and inspiration you're looking for.
Thank you for that, Jess. What are some professional development opportunities or conferences that you'll be going to grow and learn and dive into yourself?
Sure. We will have a couple of different professional learning opportunities that happen kind of right here within the district. My assistant superintendent usually tries to plan a couple of intentional pieces for us throughout the summer. This year, we're doing one specifically on look-fors whenever we're doing walkthroughs. So that part will happen, which is a really timely and important piece for sure. I'll also be at the NAESP National School Leaders Conference, which is happening in Orlando mid-July. Excited both to take advantage of the amazing sessions that happen there. And then I'll also be presenting with our high school principal a session on building trust and empowering teachers and really how that can turn to transforming learning. So also taking advantage of that part too. And I think one of the best things about that, right, and we originally met at a conference too, is how that happened through a kind of mutual friend. I think for me, right, that it's twofold. It's not only like going to the sessions and learning the amazing practices that people are doing in different spaces, literally all over the country, but then also like that kind of informal time when you just really have to talk and learn from each other and to build those relationships, to have someone that you can, right, like have a mentor phone call with that you can call whenever it's a bad day, whenever you need a different idea or a new idea for something. And so I feel really like that growing of your own network and building that network of colleagues is maybe just as important as some of the notes that I take whenever I'm in some of those sessions too. So that for me as well is just a huge opportunity to grow and learn professionally.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. The conference is more than just the sessions, right? It is that happy hour. It is that gathering where you're sharing and learning, making connections. And congratulations, Jess, Zone 2 director there, board of directors with the NAESP. As well as doing the session. Where are you with your high school principal? Is it 50% done? Is it 75% done? Do you just have an idea of your session? Where are you at in the preparation for that?
Oh, we are. So we're working. We definitely have the idea, right? And we kind of have a template for where we want to head. We thought it was really important for us to really think about. We lead in different and yet similar ways. So really trying to look at that connection and what that can look like K-12. Looking at our district has tried to take some steps more recently to really streamline what those systems look like. So we're really planning on talking about how we build relationships with both staff members and students, how we have both kind of restructured what we do in terms of kind of the typical faculty meeting and what that looks like, and then how we're really just empowering, that teacher efficacy, how we're empowering teachers to make good decisions to help support kids in every way, academically, but also kind of that social emotional piece as well. And so just really looking at how we lead from that, building trusting relationships, really empowering teachers, giving them the tools and empowering them, and then how that then transforms learning for students.
Yeah. Jess, it can be hard sometimes to present with a co-presenter. It's kind of like a dance there. How do you do that? You're going to do this slide. I'm going to do this. How do you make sure there's equality within the presentation?
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. Like kind of take it as we go, right? Like which pieces are kind of more elementary minded, which pieces are more kind of secondary minded. And again, right, it's all about the relationship that you have with the person that you're presenting with. Last summer, I had the opportunity to present with a good friend of mine, Kenny Newby, who was a principal in Minnesota. And we kind of did the same thing. We were, we kind of had this rough plan. And then once we started, we knew each other well enough that we could kind of jump in and just, share a story, share a little anecdote, whatever that might look like. So I think a big part of of that is just really being comfortable with and having a good relationship with the person with whom you're presenting.
Yeah, well said. It shouldn't be too scripted there.
Right.
Again, Jess,
You, the storyteller.
you got to have the stories. You got to have the stories. Your involvement with the organization, NAESP, congratulations. I mean, that's huge. It's hard enough to be a principal and just do that. Tell me about your desire being involved with the State Principals Association of Pennsylvania, as well as a leadership position with NAESP. Where did that drive to get involved come from, and how do you manage all of the responsibilities that go with that?
Sure. So prior to being in the State College Area School District, I was in a small rural school district called Juniata Valley. It's only about 40 minutes from here, but very different from, right, like Happy Valley State College. So I was the only elementary school principal. It was a really tiny district. I had a K-6 and then a K-5 building, and then there was one principal from 7 through 12. We had a special ed director, right, like really tiny district, like 700 kids, 750 kids. And the beauty of that is that as an administrator, you get to learn how to do all of the things, and really you can drive all of those things in a pretty quick way in terms of kind of making decisions and thinking about what that looks like. And it also becomes a pretty lonely position. And so there was a regional representative position that opened on the PA Principals Board, and I had some colleagues that had already been involved, some friends in my network that had already been involved in the association, and I really at that point in time was looking for a way to stretch and grow that was beyond what I had been doing in the district for a while. And really it's one of those, once you get the first taste of it, for me, once you get the first taste of what the power of that network and those collegial relationships can be, it just kind of fed that craving for me. So I became as a regional rep in Pennsylvania, and then served as treasurer on that board for a couple of years on the executive board as well. And then that led to the opportunity to be a board of director for NAESP, the National Association of Elementary School Principals. And I serve as the director for Zone 2, which means I represent principals in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And again, just really taking that, perspective from not only my district to the state level, but now really at the national level has just been so incredible for me, and has really just kind of fueled my passion for helping to connect others, and how all of those relationships can just help all of us be better. A really dear friend of mine, Missy Patchkey, who you probably know as well, had said really on in my career, whenever I first met her, like, it's not just about the kids in my building, it's about the kids in your building and the kids in your building and our whole state and our whole country. And how are we using our own skills and strengths to help make a difference everywhere, not just within kind of our tiny school communities. And so being involved in those associations have really helped me to do that, whether that's, engaging in professional learning, whether that's advocating on Capitol Hill, whether it's, kind of working through something just like being on the board and working through a strategic plan. Where do we want to head? What do we want to offer to our members? And all of those pieces have just been so incredibly rewarding for me. It's made a huge difference in my life, both professionally and personally.
Yeah. Your colleague, April Knight, the president of NAESP this year, I've seen at a number of events, and there's a congeniality, there's a connection group there. And I wish you the best in Orlando. It's a great event, a great group of people. And you as the leader, you're only getting better being around these people and learning. So kudos to you and your team there for doing it, and good luck with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jess, how about reading? I think, it's important that all leaders are readers. I love to have a book on Audible. I love to have a book in hand. What are you currently reading, and how do you consume the book? Do you have a highlighter? Are you taking notes, or are you just kind of bouncing around books? How do you do it?
Sure. So I usually have love to read, and usually have like 2 books going, generally one that's kind of a fiction, more like read for fun type book, and then one that's a nonfiction one as well. And someone had once said that, right, like that the reading of fiction is kind of where that like social emotional learning wellness piece comes in, right? Like you're learning about characters, you're learning about interactions, all of that. So the one that I just recently finished, and I need to dig into a new one, is what's it called? The Book Club for Troublesome Women. So I just finished reading that one. Nonfiction wise, we just did a book club here at school with The Amazing Generation. Which is essentially like the student version of the anxious generation. And so we were able to host a book club here at school in conjunction with one of our community organizations, the Jana Marie Foundation, and had some families come to participate with parents and students, and really just looking at what our relationship is with technology, with social media, how we're drawing those boundaries, how we're thinking about technology as a teaching tool, and how we're interacting in other spaces whenever we're at home, whenever we're outside of kind of that school setting. And so that really has been top of mind for me lately, and just kind of reading articles, listening to some podcasts about relationship with technology, especially for students, and what we're learning about both impact in terms of being able to engage with learning in a different way, but then also that impact in terms of brain development, focus, attention, all of those pieces, self-esteem, all of those pieces as well. So that's kind of been a topic for me lately.
Good job there. Kudos to your district for hosting those book studies and book clubs. I think it's important. You've mentioned your assistant superintendent a couple of times. Is it Danielle Yoder? Is that who you mentioned about that? Yeah, that she's a mentor of yours, and you wrote here, simply amazing, supportive of principals and teachers in her role. She puts kids first and is focused on developing systems to support students. Tell me about the relationship there with the principals, and how do you as a principal continue to learn from the leaders that are doing it the right way, like Danielle Yoder?
Sure. Daniel, I think, was maybe the first person that popped to mind whenever you said, "Who are some mentors of yours, that you really look up to?" She was kind of followed the track of the rest of us, had taught, and then was a principal, and has been the assistant superintendent for most of my time here in the district. And I think it just really, like, first and foremost, is about kids and advocating for kids, and are the decisions that we're making in the best interest of our students. And then our principal team, I'm one of 8 elementary principals here in our district. Wow. And we meet regularly. So we meet, kind of as part of that like managerial planning, professional learning part. And then we kind of also have this like collegial time when we talk, and we'll just throw out, "Hey, this happened to me. What are you doing about this?" And thinking through those pieces too. And again, I think it really comes down to, right, like building those relationships and knowing, you have people that you can trust. You have people that you can ask different questions of. And I think at this point, our group has kind of figured out who has interests in certain areas or strengths in certain areas. And so then you kind of know who your go-to person is, to kind of ask those questions of. And I think kind of watching us grow and develop together has been really, really fun, a really great thing to be a part of, for sure.
I love to hear school administrators talk about their leadership team and the admiration, the sharing of skills and the strategies. It's great to hear that. And, you're lucky in your district to have that type of camaraderie. So,
for sure.
Jess, you're almost done with school this year. Every day in school, 3 things principals should. Give me 3 things principals should do each and every day in school.
First of all, be present, connect with kids. I make it a very intentional point to be, at the very least, arrival and dismissal, but often at other places throughout the day, make it a point to call kids by name, be really intentional about learning about them. I think another thing that is important to do within a day is to find ways to practice gratitude, and whether that's writing a quick note to a teacher, whether it's acknowledging a student with a sticker, or we have Star Tickets here as part of our PBIS program. So really thinking about how am I acknowledging others, and just really practicing gratitude for the work that they do in our building every day. And I think the other one, and we kind of already talked about this, is just being really reflective, and how it can help us be intentional both in interactions and in decision making.
Yeah, Great answer, Jess. You've used the word intentional multiple times today, and it's also on the show notes here. And I love that focus. What might you tell? You're a veteran educator and a veteran administrator. 16 years of your 26 years have been a principal. What might you tell a rookie principal who hears you saying be intentional, and you mentioned a bunch of things, but if I'm a first year or second year principal and I'm struggling and I have some reflection time this summer and I'm going to be intentional next year, what should those things I should be intentional about? What should I be doing to get to the point where I'm in my career like you, where I'm successful, I'm serving on national boards, I'm in a great leadership group? What are some things I should be intentional about?
I think the first two that popped into my mind, being intentional about continuing to learn, and whether that looks like attending conferences, reading, whatever that looks like, listening to podcasts, be intentional about continuing to learn about best practices and what's happening in the field of education. And I think also just being intentional about building those relationships. Who are some other colleagues that have more experience? Who's in a similar district that you think you could ask a question? But how are you really building your network so that you have that group of people that you know that you can rely on in order to to be able to call and to bounce ideas off of, and really for them to help you grow as well. And I think sometimes that can be hard, right? Like when you're new, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, or you think you know more than you actually know. And it can be hard to kind of like show that vulnerability to ask someone else a question or to ask someone else for help. And in my experience, there are plenty of building leaders who are more than willing, to kind of help do that, to take the phone call, to answer the email, to answer the text, whatever that might be. And then I think too, another part that is really intentional is like, what are those pieces of a routine or a process, whether it's something like how you approach your email, how you approach your calendar, what are the pieces that you can put into place that kind of reduce the cognitive load in a different way? So, during the summer and before each year starts, I plan, like, these are all the dates for my faculty meetings. These are all the dates for our committee meetings. And it's just already on the calendar. I make a plan for what I think I want to do each month. And of course that adjusts a little bit. But like, what are the things that I can just put into place that I just don't have to really think about or put a whole lot more cognitive load into whenever I'm at that point. And I think another part of being a principal, and this too, is like, right, like it comes with these like seasons, it like ebbs and flows. So like August and September are kind of crazy, and then like November gets a little bit better, and then it ramps up again, around state testing time, and then it ramps up again. So I think just kind of knowing that it's coming, like kind of being as prepared as you can be for what those kind of peaks and valleys might look like throughout the year. Like I might not be able to breathe a whole lot this month, but next month I'm going to be able to. So it just really kind of keeping perspective in that way too, I think, is part of that intentionality.
Yeah. Friends, this is Jess Quinter, Dr. Quinter, State College in Pennsylvania here, serves on the National Elementary Association Board of Directors. So please jump in the comments and say hello. Jess, this question wasn't in there, but I live in Pennsylvania. I've become a Penn State fan. How much does the football team wins and losses affect your district? Like, are people wearing Park Forest Elementary gear? I loved your logo, by the way. Or are they wearing Penn State gear? Like on a Friday, is it all football all the time because of where your school is?
There's a lot of football all the time, and other sports as well. So a lot of our families are connected to Penn State in some way. So we have everything from like doctoral students, parents that are here completing some doctoral work, to families that are part of the ROTC, families that are part of gymnastics, wrestling, football, obviously, like just all of the pieces. So we're definitely pretty Penn State proud in this area for sure.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
We're also kind of like right in the middle of PA. It also puts us right on the border in terms of thinking like football, NFL football. We're kind of right on this border of like the Steelers and the Eagles and a little bit of the Bills. So we kind of are right in that middle spot where people tend to have loyalties on different sides of the state for that too.
Well, like you on the national level, the Steelers have fans everywhere, and they don't want to hear from those Eagles fans. Awesome. Jess, anything else you wanted to share that I didn't ask you?
Specifically, I mean, just kind of the message for this point of the year, right? Like we're kind of winding down. It's super exciting. It's a really great time. I always try to think that no matter how many kindergarten programs I've done, no matter how many spring concerts I've done, it is the one and only for our families and for our kids whenever they're having that experience. So I think maybe more than any other time during the year, it's just really important to be present and to kind of support and soak up moments for kids and their families right now.
There's a reason why she's on the national level. Great answers, Jess, and you're living these things in your district. So great job today. And I appreciate Jess and I had to reschedule a bunch of times because life was happening to both of us. So I appreciate it. Jess, let's get to rapid fire. These are quick answers. First thing that pops in your head is kind of like rushing out of a Penn State game. We're on the move. You ready?
Right. Okay.
All right. Last movie you saw?
We just watched a Jack Ryan movie this weekend.
Okay. You recommend?
Yeah.
A lot of action, of course.
Lots of action. Lots of action.
Last concert you went to?
Our spring ensemble concert was just 2 weeks ago. So I was there, played the piano for both our orchestra and our choir. So it was great.
That counts. Do they have concerts at the football stadium? At the Penn State
yes,
Stadium?
there are some concerts that happen there. Yeah.
All right. Last song you sang out loud in the car?
Probably something from the Broadway show Hamilton.
Ooh, are you a Hamiltonian?
I sure am.
Yeah, so am I. A lot of leadership in those songs. My kids know every word to every song.
Right?
Yeah, and we've gone to Broadway recently. It's like they almost don't want to see anything else. They would rather go back to Hamilton again. Yeah.
I completely understand.
Well, I hope you don't miss your shot. You're doing great today, and you're never going to be satisfied. You know what I mean?
That's
it. State College is fill in the blank.
Happy Valley.
One thing you've learned in 2026.
Oh, one thing I've learned in 2026. Maybe as a leader to trust myself more.
Great answer. This summer, I will fill in the blank.
Be outside as much as I can.
Central Pennsylvania, you got a short window there. I think this was
right.
winter here. Finally, it's warmed up. I was at a soccer game Saturday. It's May 26th. I was in a hat and bundled up. It was like 40.
Right.
It was a long winter here in the Northeast for sure.
It sure was.
Your favorite dish?
Oh. I love seafood.
In Central Pennsylvania?
Well, we pick it up when we're down on the Maryland coast and bring it back. Yeah. Really like
who's the chef in your house? You or your husband?
a little bit of both. We tend to tag team things.
Good. I like that. What's a pet peeve of yours?
Oh. When people underestimate what kids can do.
Good answer there. You mentioned all these sports teams. Besides Penn State, who is your Pennsylvania sports team?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Awesome. You happy that Aaron Rodgers is coming back? Is it time to cut ties and move on?
You have your highs and lows every year with everybody.
Are you happy that Mike Tomlin is gone?
Like another Pennsylvania legend, right? Like another Steeler legend. I think, right? There are kind of like times that happen in different people's careers for various reasons. We'll root for him nonetheless.
That's right. That's a true Steeler fan right there. What's one thing you're curious about?
I kind of mentioned this earlier with my book, but with the book that I was reading, but right now I'm really curious about, this is going to sound kind of geeky, but I'm really curious about like neuroplasticity and the brain and thinking about like mindfulness and different practices that can impact how our brains work.
It's not geeky. You care about kids and the phones and this and should they have recess? Should they not have recess? What should they be eating? It all goes into caring about people. So it's not geeky. It's wonderful that you're doing that, and you're going to affect someone's life positively down the road because of that. So great answer. Something about Jess Quinter that people do not know about.
Oh. Yeah, I'll have to think about that one too.
You can take a pass. You can phone a
Let
friend.
me say, I would say a lot of people know that I play the piano. They probably do not know that I've been playing the piano since I was like 5 years old, and that my grandparents were my first piano teachers.
Oh, beautiful answer. She was typing off air earlier, and she was going so fast. She said it's from the piano, and I can do neither type or the piano. There, yeah. I love quotes, Jess. How about a quote to end the show?
The quotes. I have one right here, literally in my office that I'm looking at. It is a Hayfitz quote, and it is, "And still, after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, 'You owe me.' Look at what happens with a love like that. It lights the whole sky."
Dr. Quinter, everyone, State College School District in Central Pennsylvania. She is the Park Forest Elementary principal. Good luck with your summer activities. Good luck wrapping up your school year, Jess, and certainly with NAESP. Good luck at the conference in July.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrew. It's great talking with you today.
Yeah, stay on the line a second. We'll say goodbye, but we're going to say goodbye to Jess here on the show and wish her the best of luck. And I just wanted to thank her for coming on. And before we break the show here, thinking about our summer, thinking about reflection, we mentioned conferences, all of that kind of stuff. But another thing we should be thinking about is coaching, right? Do we have a coach? What does it look like? What does it sound like? So I wanted to share this with you as well.
Are you looking for high-performance leadership coaching? Well, Andrew Marotta is your coach. Passion, purpose, and commitment. What are you passionate about? What are you trying to accomplish? And what will you be committed to along the journey with Andrew to get those results that you are looking for? Join PPC Coaching with Andrew today. Are you ready to take your leadership to the next level?
All right, and we're going to end on that. Thanks to Jess Quinter for coming on today. Keep surviving and thriving, friends. If I could help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out. Keep rolling.